Welcome to today's Explainer. We are diving straight into a totally fascinating breakdown of how human mobility has evolved over the last millennium. We're talking about a massive 1,000-year timeline tracking how we went from simply trying to survive a journey to a fast-approaching future where travel time literally drops to zero.
Okay, let's think about this stark contrast for a second. If you map out a hypothetical journey from Tokyo to New York, which is a distance of roughly 11,000 kilometers, 1,000 years ago, this trip was not about speed. It was entirely about whether you'd even survive to see the destination. Today, you sit back for 13 hours, take a nap, complain about the Wi-Fi, and watch some in-flight movies. But how exactly did we bridge that massive gap?
Part 1, a fight for survival. To really understand the future of transit, we have to start back in an era where the Pacific Ocean was an insurmountable wall, and a direct transcontinental route simply didn't exist. So picture the year 1026. You're traveling via horse, you're walking, or you're relying on unpredictable wind. That meant a journey of several months to well over a year. The source data points out that human walking speed is only about 4 to 5 kilometers an hour, and horses honestly aren't much faster over long distances. But the real barrier wasn't just that agonizingly slow pace, it was the total lack of any safe system to cross the Pacific. You were forced into these massive detours across the globe, meaning the biggest risk wasn't losing time, it was literally losing your life. As we move through the following centuries, the age of discovery saw sailing ships slowly carve out global networks. But get this, just to get from Japan to the east coast of North America in the 1500s meant sailing through Southeast Asia, down the Indian Ocean, around the Cape of Good Hope, and entirely across the Atlantic. It was a staggering, roundabout detour that turned an 11,000-kilometer gap into a journey of tens of thousands of kilometers, and it still took up to a whole year of perilous travel. Part 2, the speed revolution. Then the 19th century hits, and we enter an era where technology finally starts shrinking the globe at an unprecedented pace. The invention of the steam engine was an absolute game changer. Suddenly, humanity didn't have to wait for the wind to blow. Steamships, paired with the completion of the American Transcontinental Railroad in the 1860s, crushed months of grueling travel down into just a few weeks. Then, by the 1950s, propeller passenger planes arrived on the scene. Even with frequent refueling stops across the Pacific, they brought that journey down to about 30 to 40 hours. The whole concept of traveling to the opposite side of the Earth in just over a day was finally a reality. When you actually map out the drop in travel time over this period, it's absolutely staggering. In 1026, you're looking at over 10,000 hours of travel time. By the 1800s, it's down to 1,000 hours. But thanks to the jet engines of the 1960s hitting speeds of up to 950 kilometers per hour, what once took lifetimes now takes just 13 hours. That plunge from tens of thousands of hours to practically nothing is incredible. Part 3, the 3 stages of evolution. Now, before we look forward to the next century, we need to categorize exactly how we achieved this insane acceleration over the past 1,000 years. Because it wasn't just a matter of things getting a bit faster, the very nature of how we moved fundamentally shifted. The source material breaks this down into 3 distinct steps, which is perfectly laid out. Step 1 was overcoming muscle. We moved past the limits of our own legs and horses by utilizing natural wind with sailing ships. Step 2 was overcoming nature. With steam power, we bypassed the limitations of weather entirely. No more waiting for the wind. And finally, step 3 was overcoming geography. Aircraft allowed us to just ignore roads, coastlines, and mountains. We stopped moving around the Earth's obstacles and just started flying straight over them. Part 4, the next 100 years. So extending this exact trajectory 100 years into the future to 2126, what does the next massive leap in travel actually look like? Are we just talking about slightly faster planes? Well, not quite. It's easy to just imagine multi-layered transport systems, and the data certainly points there. We could see hypersonic jets traveling at Mach 5 or higher, cutting the Tokyo to New York trip down to a mere 2 to 4 hours. The sources also point to ground-level vacuum tube networks or, and this is wild, suborbital space flights. Imagine taking off, exiting the atmosphere to reduce drag, doing a ballistic hop across the planet, and landing on the other side of the world in just 1 to 2 hours. But here is where the dynamic really changes. As actual flight times shrink to practically nothing, the real bottleneck shifts. The time you spend commuting to the airport, checking in your bags, inching through security, and dealing with immigration will actually become the biggest hurdle. In the future, your door-to-door time will become significantly more critical than the actual time you spend in the air. Part 5, the 0-hour destination. And this brings us to the most mind-bending paradigm shift in this entire explainer. The ultimate evolution of human travel isn't actually about moving your body faster. It's using a concept called telepresence to completely eliminate the need to move your physical body at all. Telepresence is the use of AI, virtual reality, and robotics to project your consciousness and your ability to operate into a distant location. Instead of transporting your physical mass 11,000 kilometers, you simply transmit your awareness.
The shift in time required here is profound. If physical hypersonic travel takes 2 to 4 hours and suborbital spaceflight takes 1 to 2 hours, telepresence takes mere milliseconds. I mean, why fly for 2 hours when you can slip on a VR headset in Tokyo and instantly operate a robot in New York to inspect a factory, check out a new car at an exhibition, or attend a meeting? Or better yet, what if you just have an AI agent do the work on your behalf in exactly 0 hours without you lifting a finger?
So the crucial takeaway is this. For 1,000 years, human history has been entirely about finding better ways to physically move bodies and information across vast distances. But this quote from the source beautifully summarizes the next era: achieving the goal without human movement. The future is simply about achieving your objective without ever having to leave your living room. Which leaves us with one seriously profound question to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. 100 years from now, do you really need to go to New York? If you can experience, interact, and accomplish everything you need to instantaneously from across the globe, will the very concept of physical travel even make sense anymore?